Hey guys, Madman back finally after a long hiatus. Today we're introducing Diablo 4 into the content network here on the channel. And what better way to do that than to do a Diablo 4 review? Now, uh, this came out pre-launch Thursday afternoon. I bought the Digital Deluxe Edition, which gave me the ability to participate in this pre-launch, and I thought it was a good idea to go ahead and do a review of the game and give you my honest feedback because I didn't get paid to play this. I paid to play this. So we're going to talk the good and the bad of the game, as well as some about the gameplay loop. Let's get started now. I thought about how I wanted to arrange this because I'm be honest, there's a lot more bad than there is good. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with the bad first. I wrote this backwards, but we're going to start with the bad stuff first. So the first thing everyone knows about the mount in Diablo 4. If you don't, quick story. You do get a mount in Diablo 4 as it is an open world RPG. Where you unlock this mount is a little baffling to me just because it appears as if it is somewhere in Act 3. And I am 35-ish hours in and still in Act 1. Now, I get distracted easy, for sure, but the fact that I'm 35 hours in and still haven't gotten to the mount is a little bit goofy to me. I was thinking it was going to be more of a side deal, but apparently not. The second bad thing is the microtransaction cost. That was another thing that everyone got a little bit up in arms over, was the microtransactions, and everyone was worried that we were going to have a pay gate or pay to win system. And so far, Blizzard has stuck to the we're only doing cosmetics in both the battle pass, which we haven't seen yet, and in the microtransaction store. The problem is that while there are a ton of great cosmetics already, the price is just too damn high. Now, there are two sets that have really interested me, but together they're damn near $50, and I haven't bought them for that exact reason. And I can imagine there are a lot of people that are like, these are awesome, but we don't want to pay that kind of money for it. And I can't say as I blame them. So I feel like while this probably won't change because there are a ton of people who have bought those cosmetics, then I would just like to see it maybe reassessed. That's all I ask. Like, can we reassess the price of some of these cosmetics? As far as bad goes, that's all I got. Like, this is literally the only bad thing I got. So let's flip the head here and talk the good points of Diablo 4. The first is that their open world is an absolute masterpiece. It's huge. I'm only in the first act / first region, which was in the first two betas, and I'm like 35 hours in, and there's tons of dungeons, tons of enemies you can kill, things you can go search like for resources and whatnot. It is legitimately massive, and it's not empty, which is not an easy task for a lot of developers to pull off now. So the fact that they kind of shifted Diablo into an RPG open world style and still made the world absolutely immaculate, it says a lot to where I think this game goes in the future. The second thing, which kind of was a little bit bizarre, was the lack of loot from the Server Slam. Now, a lot of people were worried about the lack of loot from the Server Slam, and I didn't actually see an issue with the level of loot and the amount of loot in the Server Slam, but I can tell you now, after playing this long, there is absolutely no shortage of loot on launch. So the fact that the loot is still there and the loot is varied, it gives you a ton of different options. The loot is not broken. I think it is in a good place, especially right out the gate. I think we'll see some changes once PvP really takes off. Maybe, I could be wrong. But right now, the way the loot is laid out, I very, very much think that it is a good thing. The next cool thing is the vendors, who seem to have found themselves a rework within Diablo 4, and that bodes well for players. For example, the blacksmith crafting was made much easier, but at the same time, more rewarding due to the way that the changes were laid out. Case in point, it does appear that you can upgrade most weapons now, which just takes some resources and gold. It does not appear, at least as of yet, that you can craft things like you could previously, but they did put the blood orb vendor back in the purveyor of oddities, so you can still kind of randomly roll those weapons and things like that. Speaking of vendors, one thing that I think was really cool, at least early in game, I don't know if it'll be this way after the fact, but they didn't drop as much gold as they did in Diablo 3 early on in the game. So what I saw this meaning was that you had to determine if you wanted to sell your gear or if you wanted to break it down for resources, which is, I think, a really cool balance that they need to have, because one of the things early on in Diablo 3 was that they literally, you could just get rid of everything, break everything down because you've got plenty of gold. So this was a cool little add-on that seems to work well, at least early on. Next up, let's talk builds. Out of the gate, the builds are fantastic, with additions like aspects and the Paragon tree that unlocks at level 50. There is a lot of replayability early on in the game cycle. The fact that you can respec your character so easily in Diablo 4 is amazing, and it just costs gold. The higher level you get, the more it costs, obviously, but all it takes is gold. So all you have to do is pay that gold and rebuild your character at will. This is going to be a much cooler tool once/if they add loadouts back in. They used to have loadouts in Diablo 3. They have not made their way to 4 yet. And what I'm hoping is that we see much more in the way of loadouts coming back into the game. And if we do, then what we're going to get is really cool builds at will with no real problems. Each region also comes with its own reputation tree that unlocks account-bound perks for you, as well as giving your current character its own buffs, such as extra gold, extra XP, things like that. While some of this some might see this as another thing to grind for, I see it that this is additional content that's going to keep me playing the game that much longer. As somebody who enjoys grindy games such as Warframe and Destiny is featured here on the channel, I like grindy stuff. So that said, I don't mind the grind of this additional reputation tree. The launch for Diablo 4 was fantastic. Now, unlike a lot of the games that brand themselves as live action or live service titles that come out with a ton of bugs and login issues at launch, things like that, Diablo 4 launched with very few issues. In fact, I don't think the PC had any issues. On PS5, there was a weird login issue where the licenses weren't being validated or something like that. What they did have a problem with was fixed within a couple hours. So I've not had a login issue since. I've had one lag spike the entire time I've played this. The last thing is the side quests. Now the side quests give a ton to do while fleshing out the world around you. Meet a whole lot of new characters. You get to see a ton of different areas, and you learn the backstory. This just adds even more stuff to an already exploding world and gives the creators in Blizzard a very nice slate of things to play with for seasonal stories. So here's the thing. This game has laid it out as something to be reckoned with, not only this year, but in the live service space. Now, obviously, the seasons and the things like that, we don't know how they're going to play out yet, obviously, but I think that if they can stick to the seasons and make the seasons work, both mechanically, cosmetically, and story-driven, I think they are definitely in line for a Game of the Year nomination from yours truly, even though I don't normally do that kind of stuff. I think that if they continue to update this like a real MMO, akin to having releases every year, and then building on those releases and adding more area to play in and more story. This game could be around for a very, very, very long time, and I am all about it. I'm all about it. So this is a gleaming stamp of approval. Another reason I decided to add the Diablo series to the channel. If you guys want to see more Diablo content, do me a favor. Click that subscribe button. We also do Destiny and Warframe videos here on the channel as well. Until next time, Demon Slayers, the Madman says keep your flask cool, and we'll see you at a tavern soon.